So, So, just waiting for people to come. Oh, nice. Just getting yeah, so just working on this. Oh, nice. We have some people. I'm Dr. Lopez from Twin Trees. Can you hear me? Just drop a thumbs up in the comments if this is working. Anybody? Shoot. It's my first time doing this. I have no idea how it works, but I'm hoping everything works out. Thumbs up? Oh. See if I can get this thing going. Okay. If you're here, can you just drop a thumbs up and make sure the comment section is working so I can see some comments? Please? Shoot, I'm not seeing any comments. So, anybody? Aw. I'll just type in this. Oh, good. Yay. So some people are finding us. Sorry, the link I put out earlier, it didn't work, but I'm putting out a new link now. We're live streaming. This is Dr. Lopez. I'm at Twin Trees Vet in Whistler, BC. Can you hit a thumbs up if you can hear and if this is working? It's our first one. I'm not a millennial, so I'm not the best with Facebook. Thumbs up? No? I'm not getting any. Okay, let's keep working on it. Doesn't work. All right. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna end that other link so it goes away. This is Dr. Lopez. I'm Twin Trees Vet, Whistler, BC. Here to answer your questions. Send them my way. Let's see. Nope. Alright. And end it. Well, what are you gonna do? Any questions? I'm here. If you're here, I'm here. So send them my way. Let's go back here. Oh, there we are. People are here. We got a thumbs up. Oh, okay. I'm seeing comments now on this on the computer. Okay. So, hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Lopez at Twin Trees Veterinary Clinic in Whistler, British Columbia, and this is our first ever Facebook Live. I don't know about you, but social isolation has had me pretty lonely and bored. I've been seeing a lot of comments from people worrying about their fur babies, but all the vets are closed, so we thought we'd just join forces and see if there's anything we can do to help answer your questions. Ask away. If you can hear this, oh, somebody got a thumbs up there. Okay, cool. Yeah, just, you know, be like the Little Mermaid. Ask some questions and get some answers. That's what we're here for. Free vet advice doesn't come along every day. So, well, let me just see if I can cross-post this. I didn't realize that you have to have third-party software to access a scheduled live feed until about 5 minutes ago. So sorry if that link isn't working, but let me see if I can share this link and we can get some more people here. Ask your questions. Oh, here we go. So, I guess we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Sorry about that. What are you gonna do? It is what it is. All right. Let's invite some people here. Oh. Let's share this here. Share it a couple places. All right. I'll share with a couple more people. So, oh, hi. I'm wondering if dogs can get coronavirus. Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Coronavirus and dogs. So I think you're asking, can you give, oh, thanks. Yes. The comments section is working. We have made it past technical difficulties. So I think you're asking about zoonotic diseases And basically that means diseases that can be transmitted between animals and people. There's a lot of rising concern about this right now, but actually this has been something that's been present all along. The CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, on their website, they have a list of the most significant zoonotic diseases. So that's diseases that can be transmitted between animals and people. They kind of have their top 8 list, but actually there are many diseases that can be transmitted between animals and people. At the very top of the list, of course, is rabies. And rabies is rapidly fatal to people. It's transmitted from animals. Here in North America, we're relatively lucky. Hardly anybody dies of rabies anymore. All of our pets are required by law to be vaccinated for it. But did you know that there are almost 60,000 people in the world every year who die from rabies? And almost half of those people are under the age of 15. And rabies is a preventable disease. I'll just give you some other of the top zoonotic diseases. Rabies, West Nile virus, the plague, Lyme disease, salmonella, brucellosis, influenza, like bird flu and swine flu. And then, of course, the emerging coronaviruses like SARS. And the CDC says that that most of the emerging diseases in people actually come from animals. They say they estimate 3 out of 4 of them. So yeah, we are all connected. Humans, animals, and we share a lot of diseases and viruses. Of those top 8, about half of them are bacteria and half are viruses. And viruses and bacteria are constantly evolving and constantly mutating. They say that we're in the golden age of medicine, but we're truly just trying to keep up with the rapidly changing pathogens. For those of you just joining, I see a few more people here. I'm Dr. Lopez. I'm an emergency vet at Twin Trees Vet here in Whistler, British Columbia. And this is our first ever Facebook live feed, so sorry for the technical difficulties. We thought it would be fun to do something new and different, to just sit down, chat with pet owners, the public, whoever's on Facebook. If you have questions for an emergency vet, that's what we're here for. We just thought it would be fun, and I know a lot of people are scared to leave the house right now, and a lot of vets are closed. We're seeing lots of comments on that. So we just wanted to offer our services up, see if we could help out. So coronavirus, is it transmissible between dogs and people? Well, it turns out that dogs actually have quite a few coronaviruses of their own, and so do cats, and so do pigs, and so do people. And sometimes there can be overlap between the different species. And sometimes the viruses can mutate so that they can infect one species after being primarily a pathogen of one species. So I'm not an expert on coronavirus. From what we know, the risk of acquiring coronavirus from a dog or a cat is very negligible compared to the risk of acquiring coronavirus from a person. But I did just see, I think yesterday, oh, Katie Buss, no way, long time. This is one of my classmates. You're the best. And Erin, best vet tech ever. So Katie, just so you know, I'm in Whistler. Our town's kind of like a ghost town right now. Everybody, oh, you're the best. Everybody left. We have a resort town here in Whistler, and so the permanent residents, there's like 10,000 of us. We sustain about 2 million tourists a year. So with the resort shutting down, all of the seasonal workers, exodus, they're gone. So there's not very many of us left, and it's pretty lonely and boring. I thought there was nobody left in town. But yeah, so we just thought it would be fun to, oh, hey. We just thought it would be fun to do a Q&A for pet owners, for the public, for anybody who loves animals. Comment with a heart if you love animals. I just got in the mail today my pen from the BC SPCA, which I have to say, I love animals. You know, I think the animal shelters are probably going to get hit the hardest because, let's be honest, when things get rough, guess who dumps all their pets on the animal shelters? Everybody. And we all know that they're just struggling as it is. So if you are watching this and you're not in a bad financial situation, I would strongly request that you make a donation to your local animal shelter because they're really going to need some help in these times coming up. But yeah, our question about can dogs and cats get coronavirus? Like we were saying, you know, they have their own coronaviruses. Cats, the kind of poster child coronavirus, is the one that causes diarrhea symptoms, but in certain individuals that can actually mutate into a fatal version called FIP. And FIP is a kitten killer virus. You know, any young cat contracting that, you know, there's really not much that can be done. It's pretty much a death sentence. And that's a coronavirus. So there are so many different strains of coronaviruses. Different species will have their own, but yes, but they can cross over between different species. Like I said, you know, this one seems to be mostly transmissible between different people. But I did see something the other day from the New York Post, and I'm not sure how qualified that media source is, that a couple of dogs and cats had been diagnosed with the COVID-19. I know IDEXX, which is our big reference laboratory, has been testing thousands of animals as well. So I guess time will tell. Yeah, but zoonotic diseases, you know, it's a common concern. There are many different diseases that can be. Oh, Lisa. Lisa is, she was my dog's other mom. How you doing? Lisa, and anybody else who's just joining, Kirsty, Katie, we're just doing a first ever live feed. Just kind of bored lately. Thought it would be fun. There's a lot of pet owners out there looking for advice, and you know, not knowing if it's worth the risk to leave the house. You know, here in Whistler, things are pretty quiet. I mean, it wouldn't be a Sunday in Whistler without seeing dogs on drugs. So yeah, we had a dog test positive for MDMA earlier today, but he went home to go sober up and watch some cartoons. But yeah, so we're just answering questions from pet owners. I don't know, I guess give us a heart if you love animals. And yeah, I guess talking about, you know, viruses and bacteria constantly mutating, I might as well, you know, just elaborate a little bit more on that. So first of all, antimicrobial resistance, that's bacteria becoming resistant to antibiotics, is a growing concern, to the point where, you know, now when we look at urine cultures, and we culture the bacteria from urinary tract infections or skin infections, you know, they take that bacteria and they identify it. Oh, okay, I'll tell you in a second. And they tested against a bunch of different antibiotics and see which antibiotics it's susceptible to. And these days now we look at a culture and we just see a long list of all of the different antibiotics the bacteria are resistant to. So, you know, they're talking about wanting to regulate antibiotics the same way that narcotics are regulated, because antimicrobial resistance is, you know, is a direct result of improper antibiotic use. The blue bags behind me, those are called Ambu bags. And I'll just bring one over. These are used for mechanical ventilation. So, you know, ventilation is a hot topic these days. Everybody's talking about the ventilator shortage. But I feel like there are really not a lot of people who actually know what that means. And a ventilator is used to breathe for a patient when they can't breathe for themselves, really. So we use these in situations where patients are literally about to die from respiratory failure. By the time you're bringing out mechanical ventilation, this is mechanical ventilation, but it's hand operated. So when we're doing mechanical ventilation this way, you have to have somebody squeezing the bag. There are machines that do it. They're very sophisticated, extremely expensive, and to be honest, mechanical ventilation requires a dedicated team, a very sophisticated facility, a lot of financial resources. And if you're in a situation where you need mechanical ventilation, you're in a life or death situation already. So the best thing is to avoid getting on the ventilator if you can, by being proactive, by preventing cases that need ventilation as much as possible, because it really is a last resort. You're the best. So these are used for mechanical ventilation, to breathe for patients when they can't get enough oxygen by themselves. Most often we use them in CPR situations where patients are actually already dead and we're breathing for them. But there are a lot of situations where patients are on death's door and they can't get enough oxygen for many different reasons, and we will start mechanical ventilation. The ambu bags are temporary until they can get to a larger hospital where they have the actual ventilator machines. In the veterinary profession, to have access to a mechanical ventilator, you really do have to have access to a specialty hospital. That's where the emergency and critical care specialists work, and they're truly amazing. But the resources that are involved in providing that type of a service are astronomical. They say at least 40% of ICU costs come from ventilator cases. They can be, in a human hospital, $10,000 a day. And the chances of surviving, as you know, it's already a life or death situation. If you're dealing with lung failure or pneumonia, you might never get somebody off a ventilator. So, that said, there are situations where, patients get off ventilators. I was thinking about the ASPCA today, and some of my early lessons as a veterinarian when I was working in Taos, New Mexico, where they have really bad problem with pet overpopulation. Their animal shelter is just thousands of animals, completely understaffed, and they had a kill shelter, so they just didn't have the ability to adopt all of those pets out. And when I was 25 years old, just fresh out of school, the clinic I worked at, my boss was actually the one in town that was in charge of doing the shelter euthanasias. And shout out to Ted Schubach. He's awesome. But, I think, luckily I was never exposed to it. I think he knew I was way too sensitive for that kind of thing. But it's a hard job. He had to do the shelter euthanasias, and he'd go there like every week or every 2 weeks. And, everybody that was on death row, he'd put them to sleep. Sometimes he would come back with dogs that he just couldn't do it. But one day I came into work one morning, and he was must have been 60 years old already at that point. And, he'd been up all night, and I was like, what's going on? He's like, oh, it was my worst nightmare. He went to the animal shelter to do the euthanasias of all the dogs that couldn't be adopted out. And right as he administered the euthanasia solution, someone came running in and said, not that one. And so he immediately intubated the dog and started ventilating it. And he ventilated it all night until the morning when he was able to extubate the patient and it was able to breathe again. That dog's name was Cinder in the shelter, and he changed her name to Phoenix because he said that she rose from the ashes. So, there are situations where mechanical ventilation truly does save lives, but there are other situations where, it's really a last resort, and the chances of survival are very, very low relative to the amount of resources that are poured into it. So that's what these are for. Hope you never have to find out what this is. These are, if somebody's pulling out the blue bag, it's a pretty scary time. It's a sad day for somebody. Hard decisions and, very stressful. So that's what the blue bags are for. Just a little conversation on mechanical ventilation that does kind of tie into our topic on coronaviruses. If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm Dr. Lopez, a Twin Trees vet in Whistler, British Columbia. And we're just having an informal Q&A. If anybody has questions, just vet questions for the emergency vet, might come as a news flash. Everyone expects vets to know everything, but we don't have all the answers, so I'll do my best to answer your questions. But realistically, there's also a lot that we don't know, but hopefully I can point you in the right direction if you have a question I can't answer. Back on the subject of viruses mutating, new viruses coming and killing in epidemic proportions. I thought I would bring up the subject of parvo because I think it's kind of a quintessential example of a novel virus. Parvo, the canine parvovirus, so the one that we vaccinated all the puppies for, that was a new virus. It emerged in the late 1970s in dogs. It had never been seen before. It's thought that it mutated from the feline parvovirus, which causes panleukopenia. I guess like 3 genetic mutations, and boom, canine parvovirus. And my mentors that were practicing in the 80s, coming out of vet school, they said that when they first started practicing, all they just remember was puppies dying everywhere. So, it's a puppy killer virus. And it killed puppies in epidemic proportions all throughout the 80s, until a really good vaccine was developed. And now the vaccine is so good, it's nearly 100% preventable with proper vaccination. But that said, we still see lots of patients coming in dying from parvo. These are puppies, little puppies. It's preventable and super hard to treat, expensive. There's no cure for it. And so, that's just another example of a virus evolving pretty much out of thin air from another animal's virus and becoming clinically significant to the point where, hundreds of thousands, millions of pets are affected. So that's why it's so important. If you have a puppy, they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Parvo is the perfect example of that. Getting your puppy the routine vaccinations starting at 8 weeks on the dot. Maybe a puppy, they should be at the vet, your family vet, at 8 weeks, not a day later, and getting their routine vaccinations every 3 to 4 weeks until they're at least 16 weeks old. That's to protect them from diseases like parvo, because if they acquire it, the cost of treating it is at least 10 times the cost of preventing it. And there's no guarantee of survival, and it's a lot of suffering to go through. So that's parvo, viruses, zoonotic disease. What else? Any other questions? How are you guys? What's your doggies' names? Do you have a dog? I don't know if I could share them. Huh. All right. Well, on to other topics. Oh, there's somebody commenting something there. Yeah, so just for those of you just joining, welcome. I'm Dr. Lopez. I'm the emergency vet at Twin Trees Vet in Whistler, British Columbia. We're having our first ever Facebook Live. We had scheduled it, but the link didn't work, so we just posted a new one. Hope that is working for you. Feel free to ask any questions. Oh, Zeus. Feel free to ask any questions you might have about your pets. If you need any advice, we'll do our best to give you some advice. Thumbs up if you love animals. Yeah. So, so any questions? We were just talking about coronavirus, whether or not it's transmissible between pets and people, different conversations on viruses. We were talking about mechanical ventilation, ventilators, respiratory failure, all of that stuff. If you missed it, as long as we don't do anything really embarrassing, we might post the rebroadcast so that you can catch up on that. But we'd love to hear any questions. Any questions at all that you might have for Yvette, any comments? How's social isolation going? Pretty boring for us, so that's why we're doing this. We just want to, engage with some pet lovers and try to create community, help out as much as we can. And also, if you're able to, if you could please donate to your local animal shelter. Those guys are really going to be hit hard right now with everybody that's struggling going to go surrender their pets to the animal shelters. Those guys are already pretty overrun as it is, so don't forget about them during this crisis. They really need everybody's help. The best tips for pet owners. CPR. So, yeah, I do have some tips for pet owners, sure. I really only have 3 things to say. Everybody always asks me what should I feed my dog, etc., etc. When you work in emergency, the truth is, it's great to be healthy. It's great to be in good body condition. It's great to eat a healthy diet. And if you want me to answer that, I will. But, there's a few things that save lives. And so this is what I think is the most important. Number 1, if you have an emergency, if you're worried about your pet, especially if you have concerns like labor breathing or pale gums, do not wait too long to get help. Those are emergency concerns. You need to be seen right away. The longer you wait, the worse things can get. And a lot of times when we have patients get here, they're on death's door and there's not much that we can do. Even just 5 minutes can mean the difference between saving them or not saving them. So rule number 1, if you have an emergency, if you have concerns, don't wait too long to get help. And especially labor breathing, pale gums. Those are things that you should, if you know your pet, you'll notice that they're having a hard time breathing. You'll notice that their gums are pale. You'll notice that they're weak. Anything like that, you know your pet best. If you're concerned, don't wait too long to get help. Something happened just yesterday, actually. It was so sad. We have a YouTube channel where we put up videos, and I put one up recently about labored breathing, and I was like, at first I was tempted to talk about all of the different causes of labor breathing, so I had made it a little bit longer, and then I just edited everything out, and I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter why they're having labored breathing. The only thing that people need to know is go. Get off the internet, go to the nearest emergency clinic, call them, let them know that you're on the way. Don't wait too long. And so I had edited our video down to like 1 minute, and that's pretty much all it says. And everybody's commenting, well, what are the causes? What are the causes? And so I was responding to one of those comments yesterday, and then another video came up after mine about labor breathing, and I noticed a comment on that video where somebody said that their dog was having labored breathing And I commented, I was like, please, this is an emergency, don't wait. You have to drive to the nearest emergency hospital and get help. Please don't wait too long. And then I was like, I'm sorry I didn't see this earlier. And this was on somebody else's video that I just found by accident, because it played right after mine. And then the person commented back that their pet had died. And so just to drive that point home, rule number one, if you're worried or concerned, don't wait too long. The second piece of advice I have for pet owners is prevent the preventable. So I want to say at least half of the emergencies that we see in the emergency room are preventable. Intoxications in the home, so common. Household dangers, right? And some of these can be lethal, life-threatening. So if you are a pet owner, just remember, pets are like toddlers. They get into everything. They put everything in their mouth. If something looks like candy, they will get into it and they will eat it. And don't ever let your guard down in that respect. It seems like, knock on wood, on a weekly basis we see dogs getting into entire bottles of ibuprofen and other medications like that. And that's something that can be preventable. It even says on the bottle, keep out of reach of children. Pets are children, so prevent the preventable. Go to the ASPCA Animal Poison Control website and spend 10 minutes doing a good read of the top 10 poisons every year, and make sure that you have locked all of those down in your house. I've even had cats come in for lily intoxication. A lot of people don't even know that's toxic. And, one of the more recent ones I saw, the owner literally brought the lilies into the house, was like, oh, I better check and make sure these are safe for the cat. Turned her back, started to Google, and when she turned back around, the cat had already chewed the lily, and, in a matter of moments, and ended up in the ICU. So prevent the preventable. Make sure that you know what the household dangers are and that you have made a safe environment for your pet. They are toddlers for 10 years at least. Even the most well-behaved ones will climb up on a counter and get into a poison if it's there and they think it looks like candy. So prevent the preventable. And then finally, along with that, so ASPCA Animal Poison Control website, vaccination routine wellness. As we discussed, parvo is nearly 100% preventable, but we still see tons of puppies dying from it. So make sure that if you get a pet, if you're a new pet owner, that you get in touch with one of the family vets right away, and you make sure that you're on the right schedule, so that the little guys will receive all of their immunizations and deworming, so that they don't become sick from preventable infectious diseases. Finally, basic babysitting. So, the number of pets that come in just eating, swallowing things, their toys, clothing, all kinds of stuff. Just make sure that you have fully puppy-proofed your house. And cats have a tendency to really love to eat hair elastics and rubber bands, and sometimes they require surgery. So just make sure that you've locked everything down in that regard. And, be prepared. So basic first aid training. Do you know how to do CPR? Do you know where the nearest emergency clinic is? Do you have the ASPCA Animal Poison Control phone number on speed dial? These are all precautions that you can take to make sure that if something happens, that you're prepared, that you have a plan in place, that you know what to do, you know where to go, you know how to respond. We talk a lot about CPR training in the veterinary profession with our team, but honestly, I think it's a skill that everybody should have. My old landlord, Heather, I'll just give a shout out to Heather, hero. She was walking her dogs one day in the woods in North Vancouver, and she came upon a boy that was dead. He was 17 years old, and he'd been out running, jogging. He was a basketball player, and he collapsed and was dead. And she was a ski patroller for a long time, so she knew how to do CPR. It was October, and she immediately called for help, called 911, started doing CPR all by herself in the freezing cold. And she saved his life. He ended up having a heart condition. He had a fatal arrhythmia, a high school aged boy. And because she knew how to respond, she had the skills, she was prepared, and she didn't wait, she saved his life. She visited him in the hospital, and he fully recovered. He had a pacemaker. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. But without those skills, you can't really be the hero. So take a basic CPR course, especially if you have kids, especially if you have pets. No basic first aid, and be prepared for the worst case scenario. Nobody likes to be lectured to, but we also think it's important, before you get a pet, make sure that you're truly prepared for that as well. Probably the biggest financial responsibility of pet ownership. Everyone thinks it's the toys and the dog walker and the trainer. Let's just be honest, the biggest financial burden of being a pet owner, I know this from personal experience too, because when I first got a pet, I was 20, my own dog, I was 22, and I didn't have any money at all. I was super broke vet student, and I didn't have medical insurance. My puppy got hit by a car right in front of me. She wasn't on a leash, and yeah, that was a big shocker. Medical bills in a catastrophic emergency can be astronomical, and the patients that get good medical care are the ones who either have unlimited resources and can afford it, or who have good medical insurance. And for everybody else, a lot of times you have to make really difficult decisions about what to do. And that's probably the hardest part of our job, and I think it's probably one of the hardest parts about being a pet owner in an emergency. So if you're new to having a pet, or if you've never had a major catastrophic medical condition and you just want a glimpse into what that looks like, I would strongly recommend just open up Google, go on GoFundMe and type in vet bill, and you'll see the thousands of people on GoFundMe that are asking for help for their pets' medical bills. And it's everything from, accidents, like trauma and being attacked by larger animals, to things that are totally unforeseen that nobody could have prevented or controlled. So be prepared. Those were our three pieces of advice. Don't wait too long if you have an emergency to get help. When in doubt, check it out. Go get it checked out right away, especially labor, breathing, pale gums, or anything that is completely out of the ordinary with your pet. Do not wait too long. Number 2, prevent the preventable. So know what the dangers are in your household. Learn about ways to keep your pet safe. And routine wellness, vaccination goes a long way. And finally, be prepared. So financially prepared is a huge one, because you don't want to ever be, moose. Okay, you guys are the best. Yeah, so we've got some really lovely people here. Amanda and Mitch. These guys are the quintessential pet owners, pet parents. You guys are truly the best. You have no idea. These guys got so unlucky. They're very lucky in many ways. They have the best dogs, and they have a very solid family, and they couldn't ask for better people. But their dog ended up with a really... Can I tell them what happened? Yeah, and he agrees pet insurance is so important. Yeah. So, Moose, Moose is the cutest dog ever. He had a chest tube for 9 months or something like that. He had collapsed lungs so many times from this very unusual and rare disease that seems to finally be under control. But he had open chest surgery. He had to have parts of his lungs resected. He almost died how many times? How many times did Moose almost die? I know that we saw him on emergency probably, I don't know, half a dozen at least times. Yeah, and there's just really no way around it. I mean, if you're talking about open chest surgery, CT scans, mechanical ventilation, chest tubes, all of the diagnostics, ongoing care, 7. Yeah. I mean, what if you guys hadn't had medical insurance, what do you think you guys would have been looking at? Probably, I don't know, like 20 grand or something like that, I'm guessing. He had to go see an internal medicine specialist. He was in the ICU. He was in critical care. He had open chest surgery. It's not a joke. And thank God they had medical insurance, and they're so dedicated. Even the medical insurance didn't cover all of it, but I think that probably saved his life. So, yeah, you guys get an A+. You guys are probably the best, most awesome, committed, wonderful pet parents. 20,000. Yeah. So, it's a big wake-up call for people who've always been lucky and who've always had healthy pets. They don't really realize how bad it can get. And then if you end up in a situation like this, where this was not preventable, there's nothing that they could have done to prevent it. This was nobody's fault. It was just luck of the draw. Really unusual situation. And, luckily he seems to have recovered, made it through. He's managing. But yeah, so it's a really good lesson for everybody. So I'm sorry you guys had to go through that, but way to be awesome. You guys are very solid individuals, and it's always, don't like seeing you here in the emergency room, but it's always been a pleasure working with you. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, I don't know. Anybody have any other questions? I don't know. What do you guys think about this? It can be questions about anything. It can be questions about vets. It can be questions about your own pet. Just let us know. Oh, Tahoe. Okay, why are all of the awesome people showing up here right now? Great example. Tahoe is an excellent example of what can happen. So, you guys are the best. Yeah, you guys are like my top 5 favorite people who are commenting right now. Tahoe is a great example. Okay, let me just, is it okay if I share a little bit of Tahoe's story, guys? Tell her I said hi. And her big brother, too. Yeah, so Tahoe is a little puppy. They adopted her, brought her home. Cutest puppy on the whole planet. Brought this brand new puppy home. Didn't have her for even 24 hours, and she got very sick. And we're not talking a little bit sick. We're talking major issues, life-threatening problems, requiring heroic, expensive surgeries, intervention. They had just gotten her, so she didn't have insurance yet. She didn't have medical insurance. But, it just goes to show you that, illness can strike out of the blue. Anybody. It can happen to anybody. And, nobody is immune. So, in the emergency room, we always play this game called, what's the worst case scenario? And it's always good to be prepared for the worst case scenario. I think these guys, Tahoe was lucky enough to have dedicated owners that actually sacrificed a lot personally and financially to bring her through this. But yeah, I would say most most brand new pet parents probably wouldn't have done that. So, you know, we would have been put in a really hard situation of having to put a perfectly beautiful, wonderful puppy to sleep because of the financial reality of the treatment that was required to save her. But luckily, you know, you guys are amazing, above and beyond. A 48-hour waiting period. Oh, that's what it was. Oh, so frustrating. Yeah. So there's all that fine print too. Do you know, may I ask what it was? I'm just so curious. Maybe it's twice since then. I'm so curious. Because there's so many different pet insurance companies out there, and, you know, I have to say, you start to kind of know which ones are the really good ones. And then I've literally seen some other situations where people really get their run around, and it's not worth it at all at the end of the day when things get bad. You know, the insurance company doesn't have their back. Personally, I love Trupanion. I think they're amazing. You know, they'll in my experience, they'll just really use Trupanion now. Yeah. You know, we had another patient that out of nowhere, healthy dog, mountain dog, developed meningitis. He was like months in the ICU, complications, spinal tap, MRI, multiple times. I think his owner said that his bills were like, I don't know, I want to say like $40,000 over the course of 1 year. And literally the day that he developed problems, his mom was questioning whether or not to cancel the insurance. And we always joke that, you know, she's like, I just remember the look on your face when, because I had asked her, like, do you have medical insurance? Because this is going to be bad. You know, he's going to need to go see a specialist. He's going to need to be in a critical care unit. And she was like, I was about to cancel it today, but I didn't. And I was just like, oh, thank God. Like, he can get the care he needs. We can send him to the people that can help him, and he recovered. But I mean, who has $40,000 lying around? I don't. So yeah, it's life-saving. It's an expense, a huge monthly expense, but at the end of the day, you know, it's that safety card, knowing that if something happens, you know, you're taken care of. So yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, guys, welcome. Yeah, I don't know, we're in social isolation. Whistler is a ghost town right now, so we're not too busy, knock on wood. It's always bad luck to say that, but just thought we'd do something different, and you know, see if anybody out there has questions about their pet or concerns and they're worried, and we could get them answered. So I don't know, any questions, let me know. Yeah, I don't know. I think, just want to say you guys are awesome. All of you guys that are here. And Erin, the good news is, so, you know, it's always good to look at the positive side of everything. You know, when you debrief on an emergency or CPR, you always say what went well, coronavirus. I'll just give you my glass half full side of things. First of all, the housing situation in Whistler is looking up. If you want to move back and work with us again, now that there's housing again in Whistler, looks like lots of people have left, so there's actually some places to live. The coronavirus isolation quarantine jokes are pretty good. Did you guys see the one with the dog and the person wearing the cone? They're like, don't touch your face, you have to wear it, it's for your own good. Yeah, I don't know. We just thought we'd do something kind of new, different, funny. If you guys like it and you want to see more of this, just let us know. We'll post it in our Facebook page and maybe do more of these. Yeah, I don't know. Anybody else? Questions? So good to see you guys. You're the best. Oh, hey. Oh, yeah. We talked about that. talked about that in the very beginning. But hey, how's it going? How's your dog? Yeah, so we were just talking about zoonotic diseases are diseases that are transmissible between animals and people, and actually there's a lot of them. If you go to the CDC website, there's like a list of the top 8 zoonotic diseases. Rabies. Sorry. No, it's okay. Yeah. So in general, there's still a lot that we don't know about coronavirus. IDEXX Laboratories is the best way to clean the dog's teeth, top of the canines. Okay. Let me just fill in Stevie real quick on coronavirus. Well, I'll probably post the rebroadcast and just see what people think. I'm just curious. But yeah, IDEXX Laboratory, which is what does all of the routine blood work. It's a reference laboratory. It sounds like they've done thousands of tests, and they hadn't had any concerns about pets testing positive. But then just yesterday I read somewhere, it was the New York Post, so I don't know if that's a credible media source, that there were like a very small number of cases, like I think a dog, a Pomeranian, and also a cat that had shown clinical illness of coronavirus and had tested positive for it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest danger is transmission from person to person, but it certainly wouldn't be impossible. And there are a lot of diseases that are transmissible between animals and people, a lot of them, and some of them are very clinically significant, like, for example, rabies, which we had discussed. There's almost 60,000 people every year, one person every 9 minutes dies of rabies, and that is a disease that is transmissible between pets, between animals and people, and half of those are younger than 15 years old, half of those casualties. Of course, we don't see that a lot in North America, but in Africa and Asia, where people don't have access to routine prevention like vaccination, this is a real concern. The other ones on the list, West Nile virus and the plague, Lyme disease, salmonella, brucellosis, influenza like swine flu, bird flu, and then the emerging coronaviruses. So coronavirus, is a family of viruses, and there's so many different strains, and each one of those strains kind of has its species preference for the species that it prefers to infect. But there can be cross transmission between different species. If you look, this is like people call this the Bible of infectious disease. But there's a whole section on coronaviruses, and there's a table for the feline ones and for the dog ones. So there's actually like a table of the different coronaviruses, and then it has columns for also affects people and what it causes. So some of the existing coronaviruses in dogs and cats can also affect people as well. So yes, there is cross transmission of viruses between one species and another, and that's not something that would be like new or unheard of or novel. And with regards to the current strain that's circulating around in people, we just don't have really the data yet. Initially, it was thought that there was very negligible risk, and that still seems to be the predominant. Carolina, hola. That still seems to be the predominant thought, but yeah, it looks like there have been a couple of pets that have tested positive and that were very ill from the COVID-19. According to one media source that I found, and like I said, it's the New York Post. I'm not a media expert, so I don't know how credible that was. Live on steel. Yeah, so there's, I think, I'll just say I'm not an expert on the coronavirus itself, but what we do know about the virus is that it's susceptible to most of the basic disinfectants that are out there. So bleach, Bleach is an amazing substance. Sodium hypochlorite is actually one of the compounds that your own body uses to kill viruses and bacteria. Inside of your white blood cells, there are little compartments that are filled with bleach. And so your little white blood cells go and they engulf viruses and they engulf bacteria and put them in vats of bleach. That's what your body does. And there are other compounds that they use as well, like ammonia type compounds and even peroxide type compounds to kill pathogens. But yeah, basic disinfectants, it seems to be very susceptible to those. The best practices for all zoonotic diseases, and this goes for everything, but especially foodborne illnesses like salmonella, is basic hygiene. So, hand washing and disinfecting. I think that your risk of acquiring coronavirus, just from what I know about it, from the fur of your pet, if somebody touches your pet, is probably negligible. But that said, it's always best to wash your hands before eating, before touching your face, before preparing food. Make sure that your food is fully cooked. Those are just basic precautions. And you should just do that anyway with your dog. Because let's be honest, like my patient that came in earlier today for drug intoxication, classic Whistler problem, because there's so many people living in vans and camping in the forest because our housing crisis, is, we see lots of recreational drug intoxications. And this is kind of gross, but a lot of these dogs are out there ingesting human feces in the woods, and that's how they become intoxicated. It's a really common mechanism of drug intoxication in our area is, dogs finding places where people are camping and going to the bathroom in the woods and then eating it. And then they come in, we all love them, but at the end of the day, they ate somebody's poop. And then vomited it up, and then they go and they kiss their mom with that mouth. So, yeah, with pets, they do eat things off the ground. They do have a much higher, desire to ingest things like feces. It's always best, before eating, before preparing meals, especially if you have somebody in the household that's immunocompromised, newborn babies, elderly people, people on immunosuppressive medications. Yeah, you definitely want to be extra careful with that kind of stuff. And especially with this one, it's a respiratory virus, so keeping your distance from people until we have access to preventative measures like vaccines is going to be really important. But like I said, I'm not the world expert on coronavirus, and there's still a lot that's not known about it. So just always be extra safe and on the cautious side with that kind of stuff. The best way to clean your dog's teeth. Oh man, I wish my cousin was here. She's a veterinary dentist. I'm like the last person on earth to ask dentistry questions. I love emergency, but man, if there's one thing that I really always hated when I was doing general practice was dentistry. It's like you couldn't pay me enough to like sit there and pull a tooth. But on the other hand, my cousin is a veterinary dentistry specialist, and she is so amazing and professional at it. Like almost like a neurosurgeon. She's so good at it. And I'd say, yeah, if you can brush your dog's teeth twice a day, great, do it. There are dog toothbrushes. That's probably your best bet. The truth is that most pet owners aren't willing, able, committed enough to do that, and most dogs unfortunately are not cooperative enough for that. So a lot of times the routine preventative cleanings under anesthesia are probably what most opt for to keep the teeth healthy. It can be like every year, every 2 years, depending on how bad the teeth are. in some breeds like Chihuahuas and Pomeranians, Schnauzers especially, like they just have like horrible rotting teeth, just genetically. Like some of those guys need it more frequently. Yeah, so it's harder in pets to keep their teeth clean. There are a lot of different products on the market. There are some substances like the CET chews that are supposed to help. I want to be helpful, but I feel like I'm probably not giving you the best answer on that. It's just not been my department for so long. So I guess I would start with brushing twice a day if you can. And there are those CET chews. It has like a antiseptic. There's some dental. Maybe Aaron would know this. Are you there? What's the answer to that, Aaron? You're gonna know this. Aaron. Oh yes. Well, Erin Peters, she's an expert in this kind of stuff. So, oh yes, hi. Yeah, did you hear his question? What's the best way to clean the teeth? Go for it. I'm gonna put this back while you answer that, okay? See, that's the thing is, with veterinary medicine, we kind of all have our areas that we really enjoy and that we're passionate about. And the other areas, we don't focus as much energy on. So brushing is good. Most people end up with yearly cleanings, yeah. Oh, thank God. Yeah, that was sad. We have the picture. Hold on. Let me go grab it real quick. Should I? Yeah, we have a picture of Tahoe. I'll be right back. Where is it? How cute is that? It's Tahoe. So cute. Love her. You guys are the best. All right. Well, I guess we probably should wrap this up. I don't want to bore anybody more than they're already bored in social isolation by rambling on here. But yeah, I guess if there's one thing you do today, it's donate to your local animal shelter. Those guys are going to be hit hard. As there's a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck as it is, and the first thing to go a lot of times is the animals. So CPR, dog. Oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna save that for another time, Erin. Yeah. I'll just give a quick. We have a CPR dog, a dummy, a doll that we use to practice CPR for our team, and I would love to introduce him maybe another time, and we can show people how he was made. Practicing CPR is something that all veterinary teams should do. Okay. No, we'll do it another time, okay? Or yeah, I feel like I'm rambling too much, so it's time to go. Oh, Trevor, what's happening? Yeah, thanks for joining us. That's Trevor. He's Dr. Emberg. He's a veterinary emergency and critical care specialist. Amazing. Yeah, Trevor, I don't know if you know, but we are having a Vet Talk live today, answering some questions for people that are bored. Do you have anything to add? We had a little discussion on coronavirus and viruses in general, parvo, mechanical ventilation, ambu bags, the importance of having medical insurance, all kinds of stuff. Somebody asked me some dentistry questions, and that's pretty much when I started to throw in the towel, because I'm not the best person to ask. But yeah, I don't know, we just thought we'd do something different. It's kind of, everybody left Whistler, so I thought I was the only person left here until I, 14 days ISO. Oh, sorry to hear that. Were you sick? Or were you traveling? Aww. Yeah, so Dr. Emberg, he works at Canada West. It's an amazing, oh yeah, right? It's an amazing emergency and critical care specialty hospital. And they're one of the only places in Western Canada that offers mechanical ventilation for pets. So they have ventilators, and they have people that know how to use them and dedicated teams for that. We've had to send some of our patients down to Canada West to go on the ventilator, breathing for them with one of these the whole way until they got there. Oh no, thank you guys for the great work that you do. You guys are amazing. Honestly, you're heroes. Like, nothing but respect. Seriously, like, the level of care that is provided at that hospital is first class. Probably one of the best hospitals in North America, if you ask me. So, but yeah, it sounds like they have, for the COVID. Yeah. So, Trevor, we have some patients that have been to CanWest, some owners on our call right now. Do you remember Moose, who had open chest surgery for his pneumo, and then he had a chest tube for like 9 months? He actually came to visit the other day. They were passing through Whistler. He's so cute. He's the dog that said bananas. I don't know if you remember that, but he's really smart, and he actually said banana. Oh, I'm deserted, I know. Well, you know, sorry. I just love skiing, that's all I can say. I had to go. But yeah, there's not much of that happening right now, so. Yeah, I don't know, we thought we'd switch it up. Oh, Moose. Oh, you would remember him. You would. He spent a lot of time at CanWest. He was the chest tube man. He always had a hoodie on to hide his chest tubes. He was so cute. The nicest people. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything that you would want people to know? I tried to get across some major points, like don't wait too long, get medical insurance, be prepared, learn, you know, learn how to do first aid and CPR, learn about the household dangers like poisons. Yeah, well, that's kind of everybody in emergency, right? We get amnesia because we see so much badness that we just try to kind of erase it. So yeah, I don't remember anything either. Just, I think that's my body's survival instinct. Just forget everything, and then every day's a new day. But yeah. Lisa was on here earlier, Lisa Sutherland. And yeah, it's nice. Please watch your pets very closely and try to avoid any unnecessary emergencies. Yeah, short-staffed. Yeah, seriously, I want to see more. Hold on a second. Can I see it? Okay, and taking only emergencies right now. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Trevor, you'll be happy to know that it's just business as well. It's quiet here, but we're just seeing the usual Whistler emergencies: dogs eating poop while hiking and coming in testing positive for drugs like MDMA. So same old. at least you know, it's nothing serious today. But yeah, especially since all my best team left because there was no housing. But oh well. All right. Well, I think we're probably gonna wrap it up because I don't want to bore anybody more than they already were in isolation. You know. But yeah, I just wanted to say, if you're here and you have the ability, donate to your local animal shelter. Oh, Courtney, Belly. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you guys are the best. That was so sad. I'm so sorry. You guys are amazing. And you know what? What a sweet dog, dude. Like, yeah, that's, you know, you guys did everything possible. Nicey, yeah, you take care too. Yeah. I know, it's kind of a weird digital age, so we just thought if you can't really connect with people, you might as well. Facebook has it all figured out, apparently, so. Yeah, that's hard. Gone too soon, huh? And of nobody's fault. Just bad heart. Nothing you can do about that. But yeah, you guys are awesome too. I'm so sorry, and hopefully hopefully you guys are on the mend there. But yeah, you guys are awesome. Do you have any questions for us before we sign off? Because yeah, we were just doing something new, trying to pass away the time for the social isolation, which I'll just be honest, I spent like a decade of my life in social isolation as a student. There's this place in the library called the Stacks. It's like the deep, dark corner of the library where it's quiet. Yeah, it's probably where I spent most of my time for a good 10 years. Can dogs get COVID? Okay. Yeah, so we answered this already. I might repost it, but the biggest, from what I understand, I'm not an expert, but from the information that's been provided to me, is that the risk of transmission of COVID is highest from person to person. But yes, many viruses, including the emerging coronaviruses, are transmissible between various species. And while recently I had read that IDEXX, which is like the biggest reference laboratory that all of us use, had not received any positive tests, then yesterday, just in the New York Post, I read that there had been 2 pets that had tested positive for coronavirus. I don't know how credible the New York Post is as a media source. I'm not an expert on that, but they stated that, yeah, there was like a Pomeranian in Brussels, and then I think a cat that had developed clinical disease, like the respiratory disease, and that they had tested positive for it. Those are like 2 reports in a media source that I'm not really certain is credible, but it wouldn't be totally unheard of, because the way it works with a lot of infectious diseases is that many of them actually can be transmitted between various species, including people. And there are a lot of them already in existence, very significant diseases that can be transmitted between people and pets. And just to kind of get you in the loop, the most common ones are rabies, West Nile, the plague, Lyme disease, salmonella, brucellosis, influenza like bird flu, swine flu, and then the emerging coronaviruses like SARS. But there's also many others too, like leptospirosis and many more. And so, yeah, that wouldn't be totally unheard of. We are all connected, and and viruses and bacteria are constantly evolving and mutating, and sometimes, like with parvo, that meant 3 mutations to take a cat parvovirus into a dog parvovirus, and then when it became a dog parvovirus, it just, boom, became an epidemic of puppies dying until they developed a vaccine for it. And even then, even though there is a vaccine, we still see lots and lots of puppies dying from parvo because they didn't get vaccinated. They didn't get the preventative care that they needed. Yeah, even if you check on our website, we have some posts regarding that. And some of those ended up at Can West, right? The animal shelter. This is a great reason why everyone should donate to the animal shelters. Is these were a lot of times neglect cases. So these are pets that didn't get the care that they needed. They didn't get the preventative care they needed. They get brought in way too late when they're pretty much almost dead. And then they have no ability to pay for the medical care. And, it really bothers me when people say bad things about the animal shelter. I think somebody the other day said something mean about the animal shelter, and I just, I was so mad, because when these situations come to me, we're in emergency, and I've had some of these parvo cases where I literally had to resuscitate, like I thought that they were dead. And, it's obvious that the owners aren't going to be able to provide care for them. And who do I call? The animal shelter. Lindsay, I'm sorry to dump this on you. I have a really bad situation. It's a life or death problem. It's going to be very expensive. Medical heroics, transfusions, critical care. I don't know how long it will take. And they are amazing. They're like, we'll be there in 5 minutes. They come down, they assess the situation, raise money to pay the bills. That's not what they're there for. The animal shelters are really for homeless animals. They're not for animals that have families. And so that's why I think it's so important, if you're getting a pet, make sure you know what you're signing up for, and that you're prepared, and that you have thought through all of the worst case scenarios. Oh, yeah, WAG. I know. They're amazing. They're really amazing. With the very limited resources that they have. I mean, they have facilitated, in conjunction with Canada West, an open heart surgery, the first one. Hello. Yeah, we were talking about Mahi earlier. Oh, yeah, we were talking about Mahi earlier because we were talking about the importance of having medical insurance, and how illness can just strike out of the blue. Completely healthy animal, young, healthy, fit, and boom, one day you just never know what you're dealing with. Just like Mahi, and just like Moose, these were healthy dogs, and it was nobody's fault what happened to them. They just got very, 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 very $100,000. Wow. I believe that. I do. I believe that. Do you think that having medical insurance saved Mahi's life, Vicky? I'm just curious. I know I wouldn't have that kind of money to spend on my dog. But yeah, Mahi had Trupanion. I don't work for them, but I just have to say that, they're amazing. They cover people to the moon. $100,000 of medical expenses. That's not a joke. And, for people saying like, oh, that's ridiculous. $100,000. Okay. If you spend a weekend in a human ICU, you're going to be at $1,000 in just medications a month. Yeah. To keep him healthy. Wow. Yeah. So, I don't like to lecture people. People hate being lectured to. But there are a few things that I think really save lives. And so those are the points I try to bring home. Which is, don't wait too long. If you're worried, concerned, don't wait too long. Have medical insurance. Be prepared. And, prevent the preventable, which none of you guys' situations could have been prevented, right? Rare lung diseases, meningitis, a genetically bad heart, that's not anything that these pet parents could have prevented. I mean, yeah, the genetics thing, as we could all do a better job as far as genetics go, with breeding and stuff like that. And there are certain breeds where like Cavalier King Charles, right? Like, depending on where you live, up to 95% of those guys will have genetic problems with their heart. Yeah, so 95%, right? That's irresponsible breeding, and that's bad genetics. And it's not fair to the pet owners like you, right? That you adopt this lovely puppy, the sweetest dog, and then later down the road, just a few years in, you find out, wow, we have a genetic problem that maybe could have been prevented if more precautions had been taken, many steps higher down the line. So it's probably not there's no fingers to point there, but yeah, I think especially with certain breeds, like a Cavalier, I would never ever adopt a Cavalier without having good medical insurance like Trupanion, because they're an accident waiting to happen. It's 95%. Boom. You're gonna have heart problems. Like you've got to cover yourself if you want to get them. Oh, hello. That is so cool. Ciao. That's so cool. Welcome. Or buongiorno or whatever. That's cool. This is so fun. Yeah, so anyway, I think we're gonna wrap up because I don't want to bore people too much. But if you guys like this, if you thought it was fun, if you think of more questions, if you want to see more, if there's something that you would like to see, if you want us to show you how to do something, apparently we have lots of time on our hands right now for the time being. Oh, do more. Okay, cool. Yeah, we will. We will, definitely will. Yeah, we had to restrict our practice to emergency only just because we were getting kind of overwhelmed with the revolving door of second opinions and stuff like that, and felt that it was really detracting from our ability to provide care to the emergency patients. There's only so many hours in a day that you can stay awake, even though I'm pretty much an experiment in sleep deprivation. So I've got that. You are the best. You are the best. You guys, I just want to say, just shout out some recognition to the people that have shown up on here. Erin, Vicky, Tahoe's family, Courtney, Trevor, Lisa, Sutherland. I owe you so much. And you guys are all so awesome. And you guys are model. I wish that other pet parents could really see what you guys had to go through and how strong you were and how solid and dedicated and how you came out the other end. I just think that a lot of other people could really learn from the experiences that you had to go through. I mean, what you guys went through with Mahi, what you guys went through with Tahoe. No. You guys are awesome. And Erin, can I just tell you, if I could ever get you back on my team, you just let me know what I need to do, because I miss you so much. Wish you were here every day. Seriously. Seriously, you're the best. It's just not the same without you. Yeah, so anyway. Oh, Trevor, I was going to... What do you say? You had some piece of advice that was so good that I wanted to pass along, but I can't remember what it was. Hopefully the next time. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say is what's so great about all of you guys is that you really let us do our job as veterinarians. So all of you guys that I just called out, we went through some major catastrophic medical stuff together with your pets, and I just have to express gratitude because you didn't try to be in the driver's seat telling us what to do, telling us what tests to run, what not to run. You kind of just let us do our job without fighting, without resisting. And I just want to say that makes it so much easier for us to just, do what we do best, and just know and just be able to trust and know that, you guys are going to be on our team fighting with us every step of the way. And one thing that's really hard a lot of times is when you have sick and dying pets come in and you need to do a lot of, diagnostics and treatments, and the owners are fighting you and obstructing you and blocking you for all the different reasons. Sometimes it's finances, sometimes it's personal beliefs about pet ownership, I don't want to spend $100 on a dog. Just get a new one. Or they don't value veterinary care, they don't trust you, and that just makes it so much harder. And I remember Trevor one time saying, who's managing this case, me or you, right? And so it's been really nice to be able to work with all of you guys and just working as a team together, all working towards the best interest of the patient, and not having to have somebody grabbing the steering wheel from you all the time. We're all in the same car, we're all going to the same place, but really only one of us has the driver's license, right? So you got to let us be the one, operating the vehicle. But yeah, so anyway, I thought, I don't know, this was fun, interesting, new, something. But yeah, I guess I'll just make sure I don't do anything too embarrassing, and then if it wasn't too bad, I'll post it, and then you guys can comment if you have. So go with your gut too. Yeah, 100%. So always trust your intuition. That's what it's there for. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's probably gonna be it today. But this is I don't know, something new, and lots of possibilities. So you guys just let us know what you want to see and what you're interested in, and yeah, just let us know. We want to know what you guys want to hear. And I hope you have a lovely day. Donate to your local animal shelter. They really need your help right now. And yeah, I think we're gonna end it here, but thanks everybody for hanging out with me. So yeah, and just sending you guys all of our love, and yeah, I hope we don't see you in here anytime soon. So it's nice to just kind of have this informal hangout. Okay, all right, well, we're gonna say goodbye, and yeah, you guys, I hope everybody stays healthy, and yeah, you guys are the best. So we'll talk to you later. Okay, have a good day. Bye. You're the best. Oh no, you guys saved Tahoe. You guys saved Tahoe. We couldn't have done anything if you guys hadn't given us the green light on that. So yeah, you guys are awesome. A+++++ all around. So all right, love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye. You guys are the best.